Hello, once again, Explora Bookworms. Welcome again to the program, Explora Talks. And today I'm very excited to talk to this author. This author has such a deep sense of thinking and of thoughts. He has amazing words, and it has been translated into this wonderful masterpiece that you all guys have to witness yourself. You have to experience yourself. And I'm talking about the author of Unseen Scars. But before I introduce him to you guys, let me talk about the synopsis because it's very intriguing. I think this is one of the books that makes you scratch your head, but at the same time will make you feel in awe. And I'm talking about Unseen Scars. This very evocative title of his collection, Unseen Scars, addresses wounds as well as feelings. And often there are no winners, both narrator and subject clash with feelings and are unresolved. It is not intended, he says, to be a happy, good feeling book, but there are happy times in it, and Martin's sister's old words make him feel warm whenever those words are near. Now, Unseen Scars, let me tell you guys, this rides the waves of truth and falsehood to portray through wounds and jests a portrait of urban prejudice and why it has sat so uncomfortably or comfortably alongside us for so long. Let me welcome to the program Mr. Martin Terrell. Hello, Martin, and welcome to the program.
Well, thanks for having me on. I really appreciate the opportunity to share some of the things I've written and to explain some of the crazy stuff that people have thought that they meant. And
Mm,
sometimes when I write those things, I don't know what they mean because
yeah,
they come to me and through me, and
yeah.
I don't make them up. Yeah.
That's
So,
right. Well, this is something that is very intriguing. It's not like, as I've said earlier before we started this interview, it's not like a straightforward kind of book. There is so much meaning, deep connection and meaning that this has to offer for our readers. Now, before we talk about this wonderful book of yours, Martin, I'm sure a lot of Explora bookworms are very curious about your background. What have you been doing for the past decades? Can you tell us more about that?
well, Joel, I've had the opportunity to live the American, I don't know if you call it the American dream or the American
Mhm.
nightmare. I call it the American truth, particularly
Mhm.
if you're maybe poor, maybe
Mhm.
black,
Yeah.
uh, minority, and you can be white. It doesn't make a
Mm.
difference. What
That's
makes
true.
the difference if you're of a particular place in the society and you
Mhm.
find yourself not in control. And if
Mhm.
you're not in control, you end up being in situations that I and my family found ourselves in. And
Mhm.
I grew up in a particular place in Cincinnati, Ohio, that
Mhm.
brought me into contact with
Mhm.
things that led me as a youngster
Mhm.
into ways that were not particularly healthy for me in growing up in
Mhm.
terms of I knew uh, people who had broken the law, like
Mhm.
older guys that I knew, they were
Mhm.
either going to prison or coming from prison. Those
Mhm.
were older guys that I knew, and many of the women I knew, they
Mhm.
had bad luck.
Yeah,
They they had bad luck. They were doing things that they didn't want to do, and
that's true.
those were my neighbors. But on the other hand, my neighbors were from the South, and and they had a different concept of being in the city. Their
Mhm.
concept was that this is a village, and they would see me as a young kid.
Mhm.
I would be out with their kids.
Mhm.
They say, Junior, it's 6 o'clock. Come in here and eat. And it would be
Mhm.
12 p.m. I would
Yeah.
have to eat with them. It made no difference. So
Yes.
that's the kind of, it was unbalanced. It
Mhm.
was a
There were
village,
two
too
cultures
close
in one location where
in
you
one
grew up.
location. Right. So I had some crime on one side, I had a village on another side.
Mhm.
And so I got some of both. And as a youngster, I got some criminal stuff and other stuff. But as I grew up, I was exposed to lots of things And fortunately, I went to a college prep high school for a little while, got
Mm.
introduced to some other things. And one thing led after another. And finally, I got rid of, I had got involved in drugs and I got rid of
Mm.
that and free of that. And I was going to
Yeah.
college part time. I was a drug counselor part time. And I
Mm-hmm.
came home one day and a lot of sirens and police cars surrounded me and they
Wow.
arrested me uh,
Mm.
for something that I hadn't done. And
Mm.
since I was innocent, uh, they said, well, you have a record and we're going to give you a break. Um, you can plead to something, a lesser charge. And I said, but
Mm.
wait, man, I didn't do this. I'd
Mm.
rather just go to trial since I'm innocent.
Yeah.
And they
How
said,
old
okay.
were you? I'm sorry, Martin. How old were you when this happened?
When this happened, I was, let me see, I was in my late 20s.
Oh,
I was,
okay.
because I had gone through a
Still
lot of,
young. Yeah.
yeah, I had straightened up my life.
And this is
And
the time of your life where you're supposed to build your dreams and, you know, try to experience things that would benefit you in the future, trying to build a foundation for yourself. But this was a strange, rare, a rare kind of twist of events in your life, right?
yes, Joe, I'm going to Ohio State University part-time. English is my major. I'm an English freak. Okay. I
Yeah.
love English. And because of my past history as a drug user, I'm a chief
Mm.
counselor at a drug center.
Wow.
But I'm arrested. I go to court,
Hmm.
and they say, "Well, this guy's a past drug user. He da 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 da.
Hmm.
He has to be guilty of this burglary." I said, "But I'm married.
Mm.
I have a daughter.
Hmm.
I work every day." They said, "Makes no difference. Give him
Wow.
back 6 to 25 years in Chillicothe Correctional Institution." So
Wow.
here I
Did you
am,
spend that amount of time?
6 years.
6 years. Wow, that must be very challenging for someone who did not commit a crime. You were, admittedly, you did drugs before, but
Right,
you are already on your renewed life. You
right,
were already a counselor and you were helping people really live a better life
right.
for, away from drugs, and suddenly this thing happened. But how did that experience change you, Martin? I mean, this that must be devastating for you and your family, knowing that you have kids at that time, you have a wife, and how
Well,
did
Joe,
it turn for you?
well, Joe, this is what happened to me. I had to determine whether I was going to let someone else determine what I was going to do
Mm.
with my situation, or if I was going to determine what was going to happen to me.
Mm.
And after the little time at Ohio State, uh, and being in charge at the drug counseling facility, I had some four social workers that
Mm.
worked with for me. It kind of gave me a sense of like, you've got to be in charge of your own destiny. So
Amen. Yeah.
even though they had put me in prison and I was innocent,
Mm.
there was something in there for me to look at. Ohio
Mm.
University
Mm.
had a college program with Chillicothe Correctional Institution.
Mm.
So I
Wow.
signed up for their college program. And all the while I was there, I was taking the college program. And
Yeah.
fortunately, I graduated from the college program with very, very high grades.
Wow.
They offered me a full scholarship to the Scripps School of Journalism upon
Mm.
my, my parole. And that was unheard of.
Wow.
So
Wow.
So
That's amazing. You turned things around for yourself. You maneuvered your own destiny and you made it happen for yourself. For a lot of people, if they experience that kind of turmoil in their life, sometimes they get disappointed and they just throw their lives away. But you really took over and made sure that this is going to turn for good. You're going to turn things around for good. And that's what you exactly did.
yeah.
And yes, please do. What happened after that, Martin? So you graduated, and after that, for sure, you have gained a lot of knowledge and wisdom coming from schooling while in the correctional facility. And how did it become an advantage to your life?
Well, even while I was there, Joe, I developed a sense of like, okay, I'm in prison, but it was during a
Mhm,
time when there was a lot of activity about being a black man, standing
mhm,
up for yourself. And one thing that really bothered me is that part of my being in prison
mhm,
innocently was because I was black. And there were a lot of other
mhm,
guys in there like me, and we
mhm,
formed a union.
mhm,
And they asked me and say, okay, Martin, let's do this. Since you can write and I wrote something to the director of corrections, and we put together a group. And fortunately, because I was going to college during that time, there was an edict among educated blacks, and it said, each one teach one. And since I
mhm,
was going to college in my little group, uh,
mhm,
I had an opportunity to teach the guys in our group, say, you're not coming back to prison because this political science was one of my strengths too. This is the
mhm,
way you're going to go out, and these are the
mhm.
people you're going to talk to, your city councilman. You live in this community, and you're going to help make this community work.
Yeah.
This is what's going to happen. And the guys in our group, this is how we were doing. And we got an
Wow.
opportunity to go out, believe this, once a month to go to colleges throughout the
Mhm,
state and talk to the kids and say, look, we're prisoners,
mhm,
but you're not going to be because you're in college and you stay in college
mhm.
because education is the key to freedom. And we were
Amen.
doing
Wow.
that as prisoners. We were doing
Wow.
it as prisoners. And
Wow. Turning a dark experience into the light. That was amazing. I think that it is one for the books. Your story is something that should be written. But I think this is what urban prejudice is. Am I right? Like
yeah,
a lot of people have this judgment. But I'm pretty sure that it's not as worse as before, but there still is. What do you think about that? Martin, do you think that urban prejudice still exists, especially for Black people like you?
Joe, it continues to exist. And
Mm-hmm.
the thing is, it's 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 undercover, and
Mm-hmm.
people don't see it as openly as they
Yeah,
saw when as I was a youngster, because
that's true.
it's more sophisticated,
Yeah,
and
it's unspoken, but it's there.
it's there, you know.
Yeah.
And I'll say this: uh, many of the people who are affected by it don't even realize it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one of the reasons I wrote my book is that because the scars that we have
Mm-hmm.
are sometimes invisible.
Mm-hmm.
That's how urban prejudice has affected us. Uh, because in my experience, it was so there. I mean, even as a kid, I would walk around in my neighborhood and
Mm-hmm.
a white guy would come up through the alley in his car and stop me and say, "Hey, kid, come here, come here. Uh,
Yeah.
you want to make some money?" I said, "Yeah, well." He said, "I'll give you $20 if you can give me a nice, clean black girl to have fun with." And I'm a
Mm-hmm.
kid. He wants a nice,
Yeah.
clean black girl to have fun with, like he's
Mm-hmm.
ordering a steak or something. See,
Yeah.
that I don't know if that's still happening, but that was happening to me as a kid. See, that's
Mm-hmm.
open. See,
Yeah.
kind of stuff may still not be happening, but there are other things that are happening that
Mm-hmm.
are more undercover, that are
Yeah.
affecting
Mm-hmm.
Hispanics, Jewish
Mm-hmm.
kids,
Mm-hmm.
poor white kids. Like,
Mm-hmm.
for instance, Joel, when I was a kid, um, we didn't have white families living in our neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
But
Just
today,
all black. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, it was all black. But today, I've noticed that there are some white families mixed in with black families,
Mm-hmm.
but the people in power don't see them as white families. They see them
Mm-hmm.
as black stand-ins. They treat
Mm-hmm.
them as lower class whites. They they they're really to the people who control things. They just see them as light-skinned black people.
Mm-hmm.
They don't. They're undereducated, underpaid. They don't get good
Mm-hmm.
jobs, so they may as
Mm-hmm.
well be black people. I call
Wow.
them black stand-ins,
Yeah.
and sometimes they themselves don't even recognize it, the
Mm-hmm.
place they
Mm-hmm.
hold in society. So the prejudice and stuff that's going on in our society,
Mm-hmm.
it it needs to be the people who are affected by it.
Mm-hmm.
We need to recognize sometimes that race is a smokescreen, and
Mm-hmm.
it's for blacks and Hispanics and Natives Americans. It's not.
Mm-hmm.
Race is a smokescreen. It's
Yeah.
something else beyond that, and the people who exercise it, or whatever is used to exercise it, uses that, and then
Mm-hmm.
it misuses all the rest of us. And
Wow.
it's that's what hurts me to my soul.
Yeah, that's very beautiful words from you, Martin. I think that what you said earlier was a key word. Education is something that the nation needs, any nation in the world needs, because once we're educated, we realize that we're all just humans. There's no difference between black, white, yellow, whatever color you are. I think that we're all just the same, creation of God. And that's something that education should emphasize in school, in schools, wherever we are. We should keep on spreading that this is, we're all just in the same playing field. Now, so there is still prejudice, and I think that's one solution, but I think another is leadership. Am I right? The leadership, our leaders should always make sure to inject that into society. What do you think about that?
Um, Without leadership, uh, we're just flailing. Uh,
That's true.
we're just going from here to there, from rock to rail, without
Mhm,
touching on the basics of a society that would keep us all together.
mhm,
Uh, I recall that starting out, my I first began to feel leadership when Dr. King came along.
mhm,
Uh, at that time, I was spending the summer with my Mama Liza in Selma, and
mhm,
she was part of the group that grew up during segregation, and she
mhm,
had established herself in that society.
mhm,
And when Dr. King came down to Broad Chapel Church just before the March on Selma, he
mhm.
was talking, and Mama Liza said, "Now don't you go over there and listen to those people, those troublemakers." And me and my stepbrother, that was a signal for us to rush over there. And, we went over there, and I can't remember his words, but all I
Mhm,
can remember is his tone and what he was saying.
mhm,
And were people who had come down there from, like I was from Cincinnati, but even from beyond Cincinnati who had come to
Mhm.
Selma for that march. We were already
Mhm.
in Selma. And
Yeah.
we said, okay, me and my stepbrother said, we're gonna try this.
Mhm.
And we went there and we were going across the bridge and when uh, the horses came and what's his name got beaten nearly to death on
Mhm.
10. We won
Mhm.
the bridge and we ran back.
Yeah.
Uh, but uh, I saw the leadership of the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, saw what they were doing. But
Mhm.
from that day on, I recognized that Dr. King had something special,
Yeah.
that he had something special for people. And
Mhm.
I've begun to recognize that we needed to pay attention to what was going on with everybody, not just ourselves. And
Mhm.
it took a real leader to recognize that. And
Mhm.
we had to step out of just who I was and what
Mhm.
was happening with me. I had to
Yeah.
step out of it and see what was going on. And he helped
Mhm.
me see that, you know? And
Mhm.
he helped me recognize leaders in our nation. And so I grew up at a time when there was like a Kennedy who said, uh,
Mhm.
let's look at a Peace Corps. Let's don't look at what country can do for, look at what you can do for your country. Real
Mhm.
stuff, you know?
Yeah.
And and I've looked at leadership, you
Mhm.
know, and I feel that's lacking today. You
Yeah.
know,
That's
uh,
right.
I feel it's lacking today. So I
Mhm.
feel that today we have to look at the leaders in our community.
Mhm.
We have to look at leaders we have to look at people that we recognize with leadership traits and follow their example and
Yes,
set
that's
our
right.
own examples, you know. There
Mhm.
are all leaders there, but we also have to recognize those who aren't
That's
and to
right.
follow them.
And that's so hard to determine because right now we're in the digital age. There's social media. It's so easy to get into or fall into the trap of false information, misleading information, and it's available right there. It's proliferating. It's so hard, but it takes a lot of researching and really getting to know who you're voting for, who will be chosen as your leaders. And but of course, I think Martin, before we dig deep into your book, all right? What's important is we've come a long way. Am I right?
Yes,
Since
yes, we
Martin
have.
Luther King, right? We've come a
Yeah,
long way in fighting for equality and equal rights for Black Americans, and segregation is no longer, somewhat like openly practiced,
yeah.
which is a good thing. And I think if you look at, the last 50 years, we really are living in a different society nowadays. But again,
We
as
made
you
some
said,
progress, certainly. Yeah,
yeah, but again, we need to make sure that it's not sometimes it's just playing silently. We do not know that it exists, but it actually exists in behind the curtains. And
yeah,
that's one of the things that we have to be very cautious and be very vigilant about.
yeah.
Now, Martin, tell me about Unseen Scars. This by the looking at the title itself, this is something very, very intriguing, very mysterious. And as you can see, guys, Explora Bookworms. This is available, by the way, on Amazon, online, and all leading digital bookstores worldwide. So we have a QR code which we will display right now. If you want to get a copy of Unseen Scars, just go to the cameras of your phone and check out that QR code, scan the QR code, and you will be directed to the Amazon profile of Mr. Martin Terrell's Unseen Scars. Now, Martin, let's go back to our discussion. Unseen Scars, what a very mysterious and intriguing title. Tell me first, and you actually gave us a while ago sneak peek of why you titled this Unseen Scars, because this is, the hidden, the
Right,
hidden
right.
pains that one has because of the urban prejudice. And but what does this book really tell us? What is the main message of this book?
Well, the main message of the book is that all of us share certain pains and certain, well, we can call them scars because we can't see them. That's why I call them scars.
Mhm.
Uh,
Mhm.
but they're basically there from birth. We're born with some of them because they're placed there before we even get here.
Mhm.
But once we're here, they're aggravated.
Mhm.
And when we're here, like we feel them and we don't know what they are.
Mhm. Mhm.
We feel something, and
Yeah.
sometimes it's pressing on us mentally.
Mhm.
We
Mhm.
don't know what it is.
Yeah.
And it's and we see something and it makes something happen to us mentally. And we
Mhm.
say, what's going on?
Mhm.
And it's a societal pressure.
Mhm.
Uh, see, it's when you say scars, you immediately think it's physical.
Yeah.
It's beyond physical. That's why I say
Mhm.
it's unseen. In my
Mhm.
opening poem, I talk about when a policeman stops me and he said, "You got any new scars, boy?" I said, "Yeah,
Mhm.
but none that you could see.
Mhm.
You can't see them because they're so deep,
Yeah.
as
That's
callous as
right.
an eagle's talon.
Mhm. Mhm.
Uh, you, but they're sharp, and
Mhm.
I got these scars as a kid, but they continue
Mhm.
to. You get them as an adult.
Mhm.
But the thing is, you can make them less painful.
Yeah.
That's the thing. You can
Mhm.
make them less painful.
I agree.
You
Wow.
can make them less painful with certain
Mhm.
things. One is education.
Yeah.
Another is interaction with another human being. That's what
Mhm.
helped me quite a bit.
Mhm.
And knowledge and seeing the world that made
Mhm.
those scars happen, finding out what that world is and
Mhm.
how it became what it is.
Mhm.
Because ignorance is what makes those scars remain.
Mhm.
Ignorance. That's why
Wow.
they stay there.
Wow.
And as long as you allow yourself to remain ignorant, they won't go away.
Wow.
And that's what this book is about. The book is is to say that's why it's not like a prose book. It's
Mhm.
every page, whichever page you open on is its own
Mhm.
story.
Mhm.
Every page is its own because
Mhm.
each one has something to say about that.
Mhm.
Whatever you open on, it's got something to say about that.
Wow. Wow.
And
So
that's
it's a
how,
collection. It's a collection of thoughts, emotions being poured out. This is a result of the experiences that you had
yeah.
for decades, and you poured it out into this literary masterpiece, I should say. What an amazing book. Now, again, for all our Explora bookworms, please do get a copy of Unseen Scars. It's on that QR code in the middle, or on the side, wherever the editor is putting that. Now you can scan that with your again with their cameras, with your mobile phones, and get a copy of this right now through Amazon. What a very deep reflection that you have, Martin. I think that it is indeed something that we have to unravel when we are adults, when we turn into teenagers, adults, we realize that there are scars in the past that, I think what you meant is the scars in the past that we just do not understand. It's something that is deep within us. Sometimes it bothers our mental health, it bothers our physical health, but it is our decision to make things happen for us. Like what you did in the past. You were incarcerated for a while, and but then again, the good thing is, you made it happen for yourself. You decided to turn things around, and once you decide that, the pain goes away. It may be just here, but at least you are leading yourself into you're writing your own destiny. Am I right? That's what exactly you did. Now, tell us about how you wrote this book. What is your writing process? Because I'm not a very brilliant writer, Martin, but I think that writing is something that needs to have a lot of creative moments, when, sometimes you don't feel like writing. There are times that there are a lot of creative ideas flowing in your mind and you just want to write. So, how do you write this book? Were there times that you have to wait until, you feel that there is a creative idea, or it just you know you're just given a blank page there and you write it all and finish this book? How did you go through this process?
Well, you don't. Well, first I had done these two. You're only innocent once, and once is not enough,
Hmm.
which is certainly true if you're black. And the other one is without
Without a compass.
compass. That was when my mother died at 12, and I had to really search for a compass. And this one was when I had gone to prison. And in writing any book, and in writing those two books, there was always parts that would come to mind, and I would write them down, but you couldn't put them in those books. So
Hmm.
I had lots of notes and things that had come to mind. So I always had lots of notes to go through, and I would go through notes, and I would say, this says something to me. And I would have that on the side and have that on the side. And it's nothing that you could put into a book of prose.
Hmm.
And so I would have all these notes, and then sometimes, Joe, things will come to you when you're looking at TV. And like one thing about when they had taken a group of Hispanic guys who had their hands cuffed behind their backs
Yeah.
and took them in the police car, and they shot them, killed the guys, and said that they had shot themselves. Now,
Hmm.
I wrote a piece about that, and I'd seen
Hmm.
that on TV because
Yeah.
things like that affected me.
Hmm.
So, and then when you write about them, you write about them as they happen,
Hmm.
and other things are just there with it, and you
Hmm.
write about. But once I start writing, usually it's like, what
Hmm.
time is it? About, I don't know, after lunch, and might write until about dinner, and that's
Hmm.
it for that day, you know.
Hmm.
Then the next day about the same thing, and so
Hmm.
you have a routine,
Hmm.
and uh, and after you've done that for a while, uh, maybe 2 or 3 months, you feel, let's look at this part and see how what I've
Hmm.
done. Okay, put that aside, then go some
Hmm.
to look at it. So maybe after
Hmm.
you might have something worthwhile for somebody to look at.
Wow.
You
Yes,
know,
definitely.
uh, but you don't start off just writing the whole thing.
Yeah. Hmm.
There's just little dips and
Hmm.
dabs that you see or that you feel or that you've gotten from other things that you've written.
Yeah, it's a series of experiences and creative ideas and, incidences. It could be something that's relevant nowadays. So this is a collection of so many different lessons. But I want to know from you, Martin, what is the biggest lesson? What do you expect for your readers to really get from this one? Because a lot of people nowadays, they read books to gain the excuse me, to gain the knowledge and the wisdom. But what is the lesson or what is the takeaway that you want your readers to have after reading this book?
Well, what I like for people, Joel, to feel is that there's nothing that they have or feel that is not understandable, and there's nothing that they cannot correct. And there's
Mhm,
nothing about themselves that is unredeemable.
mhm,
Things that are happening, they can understand it all if they look at
mhm.
it and find the truth about it.
Yeah.
Because everything has a truth. We just
Mhm.
have to find it. Uh, it all has this magical stuff around it. They want us to think that it can't be understood, but it
Yeah.
can. We just
Life
have,
is simple. Yeah.
yeah, we just have to take the time to look at it, and
Beautiful.
we can do it. You can understand it if you take the time to look at it. It's there.
That's beautiful. So beautiful. Thank you very much, Martin. Again, if you want to get a copy of Unseen Scars by Mr. Martin Terrell, please do get a copy now on Amazon. It is available and it is actually published via Explora Books. So you can go to explorabooks.com, ladies and gentlemen, and just go to the bookstore and you will see the Unseen Scars. Get a copy from there, but it actually routes you still to Amazon. It's also available on Barnes& and Noble online, Kobo, and all leading digital bookstores. Just key in Unseen Scars by Martin Terrell. That is available also on Google Books. So thank you very much, Martin. But before we move further, I want to know from you, is there another book that you're writing at this time? What are the readers going to expect after Unseen Scars?
Well, I've been thinking about it, but people have told me to leave it be. Well, and it's I don't know. The thing that controls how we've been affected with these scars is I don't know what to call it, but I want to look into it and find out how it controls us and why.
Mhm, mhm,
I want to look further into that, who it
mhm,
is, what it is. I don't know
mhm.
if I can name it, but I want to see it and look into it deeper. And that's what my next book will be about.
Wow. Thank you so much for sharing your life through literature, Martin. I think that this is something that even the young people out there watching us, this is something that you should get a copy for Unseen Scars by Martin Terrell. Martin, thank you so much for your time. But I want to know from you, how was the experience working with Matthew Stark and all the people with Explora Books? Um, Please give us a review, an honest review. How has it been for you writing and publishing this book with us?
Well, you guys have taken me to a point that's beyond what I had expected. You know, like as an author who didn't, who was just writing, you know,
Mhm,
and hadn't expected anyone to like look at my writing and say, hey, look at what you've done. Let us work
mhm,
with you and get this out so you can
mhm,
share it. And
mhm,
we can do something with this book. We can take
mhm,
it, work with it, and make it into a real book.
mhm,
We can do something with it. And
mhm,
I was surprised because Joe, as a just most writer, I don't know how other writers are, but as a writer with something to say,
mhm,
I just wrote to share it,
mhm,
just to say it.
mhm,
And Explorer said, well, you got something to say, we're going to help you say it. And I
mhm.
appreciated that. And
Wow.
you did.
Thank you. It is our pleasure to work with you, Martin. It is such a pleasure to work for you on this beautiful book, Unseen Scars. It is thought-provoking, ladies and gentlemen, and Explora Bookworms. Thought-provoking is a word, mind-boggling at the same time, but it actually opens up a lot of emotions. And it's like a puzzle, I think, Martin, I should say. It's like a puzzle that, it takes a lot of time to really know what this is all about. But at the end of the puzzle, it is a beautiful masterpiece. And that's what Unseen Scars is. Thank you so much for your time, Martin. Any challenge for our viewers before we part ways? What is your challenge to the humanity nowadays? Knowing well your experience, you have been through hell and heaven. You have moved mountains, Martin, in your life, and it's not hard, but it was worth it for sure. What is your challenge to, let's say, a teenager, someone who is living in two cultures? That's what you mentioned a while ago. You living in two cultures clashing. You don't know what way you should go, which path you should go. If there is someone right there among our audiences or our viewers who is torn between two decisions, what is your challenge for that teenager or for that person?
When I was a teenager, and when you're a teenager, it's very difficult to make that decision because your heart and your mind is not that settled. But one of the things that helped me is that you are the only one who can say what's best for me. Maybe it's not best,
Mhm.
but I feel it's best. And I think you can only go with your own heart and your own
Mhm.
head.
Yeah.
Because when other people say, this is best for you, they don't know you
Yeah,
like
that's
you
true.
know and they may mean well, but you've got to live with what you decide. So
Hmm.
I don't care if you're 15 or 55, you have to live with that decision.
Hmm.
So think about it before you make it. And when you make it, you have to live with it. So I don't care.
Wow. I should give you a round of applause, Martin. Thank you so much for your time. Again, Unseen Scars, ladies and gents. There you go, Martin Terrell. Thank you so much for your time and for trusting Explora Books into this beautiful masterpiece of yours. Again, thank you, and we appreciate you, Martin, for today's
No,
interview.
thanks for having me.
Bye for now. Thank you so much, Martin.
Okay, take care. All right.
See you soon. Bye bye.
Bye.
So there you have it, ladies and gents, and Explora Bookworms, Mr. Martin Terrell, the author of Unseen Scars. What a very beautiful story that he's written, and he has lived a life that is full, I should say. Imagine being incarcerated, being in prison for 6 years, and finally got free and realized that the 6 years was well spent. How do you spend your time in prison? Imagine that. And he has spent it well. He educated himself. He availed of the opportunity to really be educated and graduate with a stellar grade. I should say this is a very inspiring book that everyone should get a copy of. Unseen Scars by Mr. Martin Terrell. It is available on Amazon, so please do check out that QR code as displayed on your screen. All right, Unseen Scars by Martin Terrell. Now, I would like to once again inform everyone that in a few days, that's on March 11 to 13, we will be in Olympia Events London for the biggest and most prestigious, most celebrated book fair of all time. And that is the London Book Fair 2025. Now, what really is this London Book Fair all about? A lot of people are asking that. For sure, this is a place where everyone in the industry will participate. Everyone in the publishing industry will go to. Investors, book buyers, booksellers, translation rights people, a lot of people who are decision makers in the industry will be there at the London Book Fair. So it's impossible not to have Explora Books at the London Book Fair. So we made sure that we get a very strategic spot, and that is at the second floor of Olympia Events London, United Kingdom. Olympia Events, second floor, that's the booth 3E38. You will see us there. Explora Books team will be there, and we have around 30 books which will be displayed at the very prestigious London Book Fair 2025. I am so excited because we also have some authors who have signed up for a book signing. If you want to meet and greet the authors of Explora Books, those who are published under us, please do get this opportunity. Book your flight now to London. A lot of people have been so busy lately, just like me. It's about time that you get that vacation that you deserve. So fly to London right now. Book it on March 11. Make sure that it falls within March 11 to 13 or March 10 to 17, so you have the time to roam around and explore the city. But we will be there on March 11 to 13. So we will meet you there. I will meet you there and drop by and say hi. All right. So again, we are very excited for all our authors joining the LBF 2025. But if you missed the chance to get a spot at the London Book Fair, we still have a lot of international book fairs, around 7 more that we will be going to this year. We have the Guadalajara, Mexico International Book Fair. We have the most prestigious Frankfurt International Book Fair in Germany. We also have the Bologna, Italy Children's Book Fair. If you are a children's book author, grab your chance to participate in the biggest children's book fair of all time. That is the Bologna Children's Book Fair 2025. We're also going to Dubai, UAE for the Dubai International Book Fair, or the Sharjah International Book Fair. I know Sharjah or Sharjah, all right? But we also have the Beijing International Book Fair. So all these book fairs are going to happen this year, so make sure to get your spot right now. Go to explorabooks.com, click on the contact tab, and get your phone, give us a call, and talk to a representative on how you can avail of our book exposure and book signing events. So I'll leave you again with Unseen Scars right there. It's available on that QR code. This has been Joel. See you next time. Thank you so much for sticking around with us here at Explora Talks, where we explore and talk books. See you again next time, and goodbye.